If you have ever felt like life hit you out of nowhere and you had no idea how to handle it, this video is going to change the way you think forever. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss content like this. Now let's get into it. Picture this. You are a successful businessman in ancient Greece. You have spent your entire life grinding, building wealth from the ground up, trading across the Mediterranean. You are finally winning. Then one day your ship goes down, everything you have worked for gone, just like that. Not because of a bad decision, not because you slacked off, simply because nature didn't care about your hustle. That man was Zeno of Cyprus, and instead of losing his mind, he did something most people in America today still can't figure out how to do. He chose his reaction. That single choice made him the founder of one of the most powerful philosophies in the human history, Stoicism. Here's what most people get wrong about Stoics. When Americans hear the word Stoic, they picture someone cold, emotionless, robotic, a guy who doesn't flinch at anything. But that's not what Zeno had in mind. Stoicism wasn't about suppressing your feelings. It was about understanding the world so clearly that external chaos couldn't break you internally. And here's the part that makes it timeless. Stoic philosophy works just as well in 21st century America as it did in ancient Greece. The problems are different, the pressure looks different, but the human mind hasn't changed. So what's at the core of Stoicism? One simple but brutal truth: you don't control most of what happens to you. What you do control is how you respond. That's it. That's the whole game. Think about it. Every morning in this country, millions of Americans wake up anxious, scrolling through their phones before their feet even hit the floor. Why? Because somewhere along the way, we decided that our happiness depends on things outside of us. Our job title, our bank account, how many followers we have, what other people think of us. Stoicism says that's a trap, and that data of everyday life backs it up. Take rain. Nobody cries when it rains. Why not? Because we have expected that rain is going to happen. We can't control the weather. We plan around it, but we don't fall apart over it. Stoicism says, train yourself to see everything that way: the job loss, the failed relationship, the health scare, the friend who let you down. Expect hardship, not because life is hopeless, but because expecting the storm means you're never completely blindsided by it. The Stoic even had a practice for this called voluntarily discomfort. Skip the comfortable morning routine once in a while. Sleep on the floor, take a cold shower instead of a hot one. Eat simple for a few days, not as punishment, but as training. When you have already practiced feelings uncomfortable, discomfort loses its powers over you. In a country where we are marketed to every single minute of every single day, told that without the latest product, the right body, the biggest house, you will never feel complete. This is practically revolutionary. Now here's what makes Stoicism even more compelling. It wasn't built for the elite. In ancient times, Stoic philosophy was taught in public spaces, not locked behind the walls of private academies. Slaves studied it. Emperors studied it. Everyone was welcome. In fact, some of the most notable Stoic in history, came from completely opposite ends of the social spectrum. Epictetus, a man whose very name translates to acquired because he was born into slavery, became one of the greatest Stoic teachers who ever lived. Seneca was a powerful statesman. Marcus Aurelius was a Roman Empire. The philosophy didn't care about your social status. Like I already told you, Marcus Aurelius was a Roman emperor. It was for anyone willing to do the inner work. And while most of ancient society kept women out of academic spaces, the Stoics pushed back on that too. Musonius Rufus, teacher of Epictetus, publicly argued that women deserve the same philosophical education as men, a radical stance in his era. The Stoics even coined the word cosmopolitan, citizen of the world, the same term we now use to describe cities like New York and Los Angeles for their diversity and global identity. So how does this apply to your everyday life right now? Let's say you're working your job in a corporate America. You have been putting in overtime for 6 months straight and you finally put together a strong performance review. You walk into your manager's office confident, ready, and they pass you over for the promotion anyway. Most people spiral. They start questioning their worth, their future, whether they even belong at that company. But a Stoic asks a different question. Was the quality of your effort within your control? Yes. Was the manager's decision within your control? No. Place your standards of success on what you actually control, and everything else, the algorithm, the economy, the timing, other people's mood, let it go. This isn't just ancient philosophy, it's at the core of modern philosophical and psychological therapy used across the United States today. Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, or REPT, is built on Stoic principles. It teaches patients to identify negative thought patterns, challenge them with logic, and replace them with healthier, more productive beliefs. Logotherapy, developed by Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl, is rooted in the Stoic idea that humans are driven by purpose and that even in the worst circumstances, meaning can be found. And then there's Nelson Mandela, 27 years imprisoned in South Africa. When he was finally released and elected president, the world accepted and the world expected revenge. Instead, he chose reconciliation. He had spent his years in prison studying Marcus Aurelius. He understood that the past was beyond his control and that the only path forward was to build something better. That is Stoicism in action at the highest possible level. The 4 pillars of Stoic philosophy are wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Wisdom is knowledge. Wisdom is knowing the difference between what you can and cannot control and acting accordingly. Courage is persistence. Keep going, keep resisting the urge to quit. Temperance is moderation, doing more with less, valuing substance over excess. And justice, the most important virtue, is the understanding that we exist for each other, not just ourselves. That real strength shows in how you treat people when you have the power to do otherwise. As Seneca said, learning to live with less creates space for what truly matters. In a culture that constantly tells Americans to want more, buy more, be more, Stoicism offers something rare: enough. The clarity to realize that the things you already have, the choices you already make, the effort you already put in, that is where your worth lies. You can't control what the market does. You can't control what people say about you. You can't control whether the algorithm picks your work up or buries it. But you can control how hard you prepare, how steady you stay under pressure, and how you treat the people around you. That is the dichotomy of control. That is the whole philosophy. And if the life still knocks you down after all of that, if the ship still sinks, you can take peace in knowing you showed up the right way. You lived with intention, you did the work, and that, according to the Stoics, is all any of us can honestly ask for. If this video hit different, do me a favor, drop a comment below and tell me the one thing in your life right now that you're going to stop trying to control. I read every single one. And if you want more content on Stoicism, power mindset, and the philosophy and the dark philosophy that actually moves the needle, subscribe right now. We are just getting started. I'll see you in my next video.